Ladies and gentlemen, we are broadcasting worldwide from north of London, England, here in Watford. I'm coming to you from our impromptu hotel room, which turned into kind of our press command center with at least 5 of our reporters here writing stories for Infowars.com. Let me just tell the syndicated radio audience and everyone else what's coming up now that we're into the second hour. David Knight did the first hour. He'll be riding shotgun with me in the second and third hour. And then Jakari Jackson's coming in a 4th hour of overdrive and maybe out beyond that, because it had been my intention today to drive in this morning to London and to go show the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace, complete, you know, just parasitic corruption being worshipped. I was going to also go show the city of London within London, the financial district that is the dominant center of the world of real globalist, Rothschild, Rockefeller-type corruption. And then I was going to go to a couple other places, but then BBC Newsnight, the biggest program in the UK, but one of the biggest news programs worldwide. I mean, it's on mainstream television in the US. It's probably one of the biggest news programs in the world, if not the biggest. They wanted to interview me. So I'd already gotten to London, and I was getting ready to do some live feeds there and then come back and cover the beginnings of the Bilderberg meeting tonight that really kicks off tomorrow, when they called and said, please come back, we want to do an in-depth interview with you. And boy, was that a circus. So I'm going to tell you that story. And then I'm going to get into unprecedented media coverage. And they're trying to be snot-nosed about it in U.S. and British and European papers about, okay, Bilderberg exists, but big deal. People that want to cover royalty and heads of corporations and banks meeting in secret to rob you, you know, it's no big deal. So there's a big lobbying scandal in England right now. So what if people are having to resign in the government over stuff like this? So what if Bilderberg attendees have been indicted before at 4 things they did at Bilderberg concerning ripping off taxpayers and inside deals? You have corporate chiefs meeting with regulators in secret. I mean, this is totally illegal. They've tried to spin that. So we're going to be looking at how they're responding as well today, and cover the unprecedented press coverage that is going on right now. But then, in about an hour, I'm going to leave here again, jump on the train, go back into London, and I plan to broadcast live from Big Ben and Parliament. And so in the 4th hour of overdrive, I will be broadcasting from right outside Big Ben. And there's so much free speech in London, the police will probably try to stop me with an iPhone talking into it, because believe me, they're watching everything we're doing. And you can't let slaves get the idea that they could use a phone to go broadcast from the streets of London. But regardless, we're going to do it. That's about 2 hours away. Some stations carry the 4th hour, some don't. But you'll be able to find the free audio and video streams at Infowars.com/show, which is the permanent link, or Infowars.com/Bilderberg for all of the coverage. And my biggest problem getting on air during something like this is that I've got hundreds of points I want to make. I mean, I have got so much breaking news. Kurt Nemo's got an article, Financial Scandal Draws Heat on Bilderberg secrecy, dealing with indictments and resignations in the government for illegal lobbying and secret meetings, while the ultimate secret meeting that they said didn't exist is going on right now. I met with the highest level government official, government servant, he wants to be called that, who is over Bilderberg, liaisoning with the government. And I'll just leave it at that. I basically met with the intelligence services of England. I mean, we'll just leave it at that. And they said Bilderberg is considering doing a press conference Friday or Saturday. They're having an internal debate, and they want this to happen. And Paul Watson put an article out on this morning that is just huge news. And everything was clicking, because I talked to 2 different high-level senatorial aides who said, listen, there are people in the Bilderberg group, we know who they are, they're Peter Thiel and people like that, who want to go public with Bilderberg and that want to, quote, have a free market and know that the New World Order is not going to succeed. And basically it's the new revolution at Bilderberg, all these young people coming in who aren't like Nazi princes from the Netherlands and folks. Whether they're good or bad, they're playing the part of good cop right now. We don't know if they're good or bad. But I was already told by a senatorial aide and then somebody else in the Senate. I'm just going to leave it at that. It wasn't technically right, 2 senatorial aides, but I'm trying to. The point is, Senate sources. It's so hard keeping track of all these sources and trying to not blow their cover. But that they had met with members of the Bilderberg group or people that were members saying, look, we may just go public on this whole deal and the whole global governance program. And then I'm meeting with the head guy or gal, I'm not going to say who. I'm meeting, well, it was a guy and a gal, but the individual in the government, in the British government, who's giving, well, better not say that. The point is I meet with a high-level individual liaisoning and all this, and they confirm what I was told by 2 Senate connections months ago. And I happened to be at a party that had some of the biggest people in media at it. And they've got their finger on the pulse. They know how popular liberty is right now. They're kind of realizing we can't beat us, join us. But I was invited to a private party a few months ago in Austin, Texas, where some of the biggest people, I don't mean on air, I mean people that run media empires. There's like 6 big media empires. One of these people is at the top of that. And they said to me, they said, look, Peter Thiel is a great guy, and he likes your show, and he doesn't like what's going on with the New World Order, and he doesn't like the fact that you're saying everybody at Bilderberg's bad. He says he's in there trying to get him to go transparent. And I'm like, yeah, right. And I was told about somebody else. I'm not going to say their name. And then I'm hearing it from 2 senators, people that work for him. and then I'm sitting there with British intelligence telling me this. So let me tell you, Paul Watson, last night we're sitting around during this meeting that's off record. And I said, go write that. And he goes, I'm too tired. It's 11 o'clock at night, you know, after we got done meeting. We met them at like 9, and then we had dinner, and it was like 11. And he said, I'll do it in the morning. And then he writes this article. That's Paul's only problem. What we're doing is sensational. So my reporters tend to water down what we're doing because it's so incredible the success we're having, we can't believe it. So he wrote this article. In fact, let me find the headline. My internet is just atrocious here in the kind of countryside of northwest of London. I can't even pull up the article that I had earlier. It's like dead from earlier today. I'm trying to find the exact headline. Can you guys put it up? No, wait, internet's working now, that Paul Watson put up this morning. Here it is. Insider, should be Insiders. Bilderberg considering press conference. So I don't know if they're going to do it, but I've been told by 2 senatorial connections, a major media connection, and now British intelligence people. Just leave it at that. You know, these are the guys, well, I can't say anything, I'll figure out who it is, that indeed they've met with Bilderberg's head of security and with all the spooks inside that were already there last night. There's helicopters everywhere, you name it, for a meeting that doesn't exist, doesn't matter. And that they are feeling the heat. It's not now that they're seen as avant-garde or they're seen as elusive or they're seen as mysterious or exclusive because they're so secret. Now they're getting that everything they wanted Bilderberg for is working against them. They want you looking at presidents and prime ministers and bureaucrats and no more above that. Because once you actually look at the power structure and go, they're getting taxpayer money, they're getting billions in bailouts, they're lobbying to raise taxes on poor and middle class, it's game over. Once the peasants know there's a castle and a corrupt king in it, if things aren't going well in the kingdom, the king is going to have people with pitchforks coming politically. So this is a huge victory. I was out there with the police. They were being ordered today by Bilderberg security to push us back, and they were arguing with them and refusing and smiling and quietly when my camera was off, shaking my hands, our hands, and saying, look, we know what's going on. We don't like what's happening. And it wasn't good cop, bad cop. These cops had that energy in their eyes and the little tear in the corner of their eye, like they were burning with liberty, wanting to join us. And it was, you know, real, going, we know, we don't, because people realize they have self-preservation. They realize this is bad for their kids. I was giving speeches about everybody's children out there, and I saw the cops looking at me like really getting it. And I got to tell you, England has its own corruption and problems, but the people have a lot of soul here. That's why they're so repressed. It's because they used to be a bunch of wild Celts running around. I mean, they are really getting it. In Virginia, the cops were on our side a day or two into it and came over and privately told us, they had cops, that they were listeners and everything. But now it's immediate with the police, where you'll turn your camera off and they'll grab you by the arm and go, we know what's going on. Don't you ever say we're with these people. But I'm like, well, why are you doing it? We'll be fired if we don't do all of this. But the point is that we have people driving by honking their horns, people stopping on bicycles and motorbikes that are listeners who live in Watford. I rode on the train to London, and a third of the people on the train in front of my crew in London were shaking my hand. Old women, young men, black people, white people, Arabs, everybody. I mean, Richard Reeves was there. It is incredible. And I had listeners coming over going, you don't know how big you are. Everyone in my apartment complex listens to you. You don't know. And again, I'm not bragging, hey, we're big, hey, we're cool, I'm a movie star. I'm not. It's the opposite. I'm giving you the good report that I am in England, and I was here 7 years ago, and we had 1/10 of the people on the street talk to us. And I don't know where all these listeners are, because our numbers show us about 15 million a week one way or the other. I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com. The protests and demonstrations haven't even begun. We probably had about 50 people out there today that just spontaneously showed up when I happened to go over there for about an hour outside the Grove Hotel. And every 20th car or so would drive by and honk and say, Alex Jones. And then people were stopping on bicycles, and I'd go, do you live around here? Yeah. Guys on motorcycles. Yeah, I live in this town. I'm a listener. We all listen. And then I was on the train, and people would say, you're Alex Jones, you're Alex Jones. And I listen. It wasn't just from the Piers Morgan thing that was aired on all the TV over here. And again, that's a good message. People know about the New World Order. If some, egg-headed, guy like me can have all these listeners and viewers, quite frankly, I don't know how it's so massive. That shows that we're not all alone. Richard Reeves is here. Reluctantly, he's coming on the air. Reeves, tell folks what you've seen here.
All right, folks, absolutely. Everywhere Alex goes, he's more and more recognized. And I'll tell you why, Alex. The reason is because you know how to articulate and explain and reveal the New World Order to the public. That is the key. Even the police, you're able to deprogram him. Even as heavily as they're programmed, Alex has the message to break through. So that's it. I've been running around with Alex doing these different remotes since, I think, around 2007. And I remember one night in Manhattan that we were there during a 9/11 event, and a guy just out of the blue that didn't even know that Alex was in town for events happened to run it and see Alex and hear Alex and say, hello, I recognize you, I've seen your videos. And now more and more as time goes by, that exact same thing happens. They hear Alex's voice first. They can hear him talking. They can hear him talking about that the groom of the stool needs to return to work with the Queen, and all of a sudden they say, Alex Jones, I recognize that voice. I hear you. I've seen your videos. What a pleasure and honor to meet you.
Tell folks what happened today on the train.
Well, on the train, it was just over
in London at that restaurant.
Absolutely. Everywhere we go, there's people that recognize the New World Order, know about the New World Order. Yeah, but it was like a third of the people on the train. Absolutely. Absolutely. About a third of the people, and it's just amazing. It's great. Pretty soon it'll be half the people. Pretty soon it'll be 75 or 80% of the people. So New World Order, you're in trouble. You guys, you're going to have to keep your steel cages around you, whether you're at the Grove or wherever you're at. The people are going to know about you. You're going to be the prisoners on this planet instead of us being the prisoners of the planet.
I mean, I got to say, though, and we got to have somebody explain this mystery to us, because I look at our numbers, and we have, like 1 million visitors a day on average to both the websites, and 3 million or so on the radio and YouTube and everything. It goes about 50 million a week, one way or another. Listen, individuals. If you count, 15 million coming back over and over again, it's like 30-something million a week. But that's what we can track. I don't know how 15 million people a week turns into, and again, I keep marveling at this on air, because we get on the train and there's this old Italian woman, but she spoke with a perfect British accent, but she told me her last name, a pretty Italian name. I won't say it. Right. Yeah, her name was Desiree, but the last name was so cool. Don't say it on air. The point is, and then the guy next to us, and then this lady, and they're all Alex Jones. And I'm like, you listen? Oh, we all listen. And I mean, it was more than a third on that train. And on the way back, it turns out, you're Alex Jones. You're Alex Jones. And it was just like, what, in England now? Again, I'm going to come back and cover news when we come back. But the news here, ladies and gentlemen, is that I'm just one little composite of the larger composite eye of awareness of all of us around the world, the consciousness of liberty, seeing the world, seeing justice. I'm just one guy. I'm a humble guy. I don't want to be on air. I'd like to run off and be a recluse. That's what I'm really like. I'm here, and I cannot believe this many people are awake. I mean, we're close to victory, and they're spying on everything with the NSA and Google. They know the answers that I don't know, how big the audience really is. And I don't know how this is happening, but let me tell you, it's amazing. David Knight, we're going out to break, but what is your take on this good news?
Well, Alex, I think people can instinctively hear what you're doing. I know from working here that you're passionate about this, and that transparently comes through. I mean, you're really concerned about getting the word out. You've got a genuine concern about these eugenics types of things that we see happening. You don't want to see people get enslaved and bullied. You hate that, and that comes through.
But it says the awakening is huge. I'm embarrassed. People are more awake in England, and there's their eyes are more connected. This is what it was like growing up in Texas. These people are connected. They're smart. Everybody talks about how dumb Brits are. I mean, these people are awake. Many anthropologists and archaeologists believe that before man even discovered the power to harness and use fire, we were involved in agrarian activities. That is, taking the seeds of plants and then replanting them to produce more. The very foundation of our modern civilization and human culture is centered around the planting and cultivation of edible plants, fruits, vegetables, nuts, you name it. And the globalists have been going after gardening. They've been harassing people that have gardens in their front yards or their backyards. They've called for licenses for people to have gardens, because you can't trust prisoners in the police state America to be able to grow their own food. That's why I've come to the realization that we need to become self-sufficient. You need to be informed. You need to have the Second Amendment to protect yourself. You need to be politically active to wake up others. You need to filter your water. But you also need to plant a garden. Even if you live in an apartment, you can do this. If you live in the countryside, obviously you can do it on a grand scale. There are so many green belts in areas that humans don't even visit, nearby cities and in suburbs, where people are now more and more planting their own little private gardens and meadows and off the side of the road. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a revolutionary act to unplug from the television, to unplug from the computer and all the globalist propaganda, and to go out in your backyard or your front yard or planters at your apartment or on the roof of the building where you live, and to plant a garden.
Here are some of the amazing deals at InfoWars Seed Center at InfoWarsShop.com. The Survival Seed Vault by My Patriot Supply features only the finest survival heirloom seeds for a robust and hardy garden, even in the toughest of times. The ARC All-in-One Seed Kit contains 70 varieties of 50,000 seeds of fruits, vegetables, medicinal, and culinary herbs. All ARC seeds are heirloom. Each type is labeled and sealed separately for ease of use and longevity. The Deluxe Emergency Seed Bank combines 3 of Emergency Seed Bank's top sellers: the Family Survival Emergency Seed Bank, the Medicinal Herb Seeds Pack, and the Culinary Herb Seeds Pack. We also have starter varieties of the deluxe seed packages for fruit, salad, salsa, peppers, and medicinal herbs and more. Go to the InfoWars Seed Center at InfoWarsShop.com.
A little seed can grow a huge tree that produces fruit for up to 50 years. We have the best life bombs. That's what these are. We have the best weapons against death out there at the lowest prices, waiting for you to lovingly plant them and lovingly grow them and lovingly eat them and share them with others. We will strike back against the New World Order, and this is only one more initiative in our fight against them. So please join us at InfoWarsShop.com, or you can link through at InfoWars.com at the InfoWars Seed Center. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Steve Watson, who you know writes for the last 11 years. I was brother for 11 years, you for 10, for InfoWars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. And it was very nice to meet your Fräulein. Because last time I was here 7 years ago, or you were in the Texas, I hadn't met your girlfriend. She's very nice. And we're here. We've got David Knight riding shotgun. He'll do the third hour today, covering news, the scandals, all of the latest information. But at the same time, we're then going to get into London and broadcast in a fourth hour from out on the bridge or close to Big Ben. Some really great scenic shots for you out there. We're going to march around London and give you a fourth hour there as well. There is a ton of audio and video and photos up at Twitter at Real Alex Jones. All of that. But here's the big bottom line. Bilderberg didn't want to be identified to exist because there's nothing above presidents and prime ministers. They don't want to be scrutinized. And now that we forced this out into the mainstream dinosaur media because it made them so non-pertinent, they didn't even count anymore. They didn't even, what's the term I'm looking for, where they weren't even in the game anymore because they were denying this existed, while the real media, Infowars.com, DrudgeReport.com, even 5-6 years ago, London Guardian, here in the UK, American Free Press, and others were covering it. They were saying there are no smoking rooms, there's not royalty and rich people meeting. It's crazy to think elites want to control the government to shut down their competition and get taxpayer money. Elites never do that. And bears don't live in the woods either. They don't do other things in the woods either. And grizzly bears don't eat salmon. It's a conspiracy theory. And so by just denying, they've discredited themselves. And so I'm out there. I want to tell the story. We're going to go to Steve and get David Knight's take on this. And I'm in London. I'm about to do all this live streaming from London. And the BBC says, it's totally, what was her name? Zoe something? She's a Newsnight presenter. It's like one of the biggest shows in the world. And she says, I will have fair questions for you, and it's going to be completely reasonable. And we just want to get your take on this. So can you please get back on the train that takes like 30 minutes and come back to Watford and then drive out to the Grove? So I said, okay, I'll come. I show up. The police had said, you're allowed to come to this protest area. This is where interviews are. So I show up there and they go, well, now the Grove says you can't be here. Private security, literally in disheveled outfits with potbellies, came over and commanded the police. The police begrudgingly did what they were told. They said, well, now you got to move over there. I promise you only have to move over there, then we'll stop. And I go, I know how this works. Then it'll be move over there. So they move us all on live streams, like 100 yards down. And then the police are really getting irritated because they're being told to do this. And the BBC lady starts going, so you imagine they're having a meeting. And you were there, you can talk about it in a minute. And I'm like, well, no, this meeting's real. You're a conspiracy theorist. And I went, well, at least we now have them admitting this meeting's happening. Who says there's a meeting? Why do you think there's one? And I go, well, look, there's the police, there's helicopters above. This is where the globalists are meeting. They are meeting. And why are you being conspiracy theorists believing that? And I went, what, you're trying to make me mad? And I went, so I laughed at her. And at the end of the interview, she goes, yes, I was trying to bait you. Well, you were a witness. Or the exact word was, what did she say? What was the exact word, Steve Watson of PrisonPlanet.com?
I can't remember what the exact word was, but she was there. She admitted that it was
Get up on the mic.
She admitted it was her role to basically make Alex shout and rave so that they could use a soundbite on Newsnight this evening.
And again, we have the video clip. It's going to pop in my mind in a minute. Paul's upstairs right above us, the room above us, trying to upload it to YouTube. So maybe if that gets up on his channel or my channel, not sure which one he's uploading all these clips to, we can play that in the next hour because that's really important. She says something like, I was trying to antagonize you.
I would make you angry.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to make you angry. She didn't really succeed.
She basically just wanted Alex to repeat his Piers Morgan rant, which...
Maybe I should have done that because it would have backfired. People are angry.
Well, a lot of people...
But see, I wasn't thinking in a manipulative way. I was trying to go,
no.
You know, there's a lobbying scandal. They're in their meeting secret. They've been indicted before for criminal lobbying. Lockheed Martin in the 77. You know, we're just trying to cover this. Why are taxpayers paying for it? But why are you imagining the meeting? It doesn't exist, Alex. And then she's like, I'm just trying to make you angry. I was just baiting you.
Yeah, she was just... Alex was running through the facts, and she was just basically trying to make him rant and rave and sound like a lunatic so they could use that on their nightly news program. And then she went up to... There's a few protesters there already, but there aren't a lot there yet. There'll be a lot more there tomorrow. But she went up to the people that were there, sought out the most sort of disheveled looking protesters that were there. And
yeah, they found one hippie that looks like Gandalf out of about 50 people, and he'll be on tonight.
There were plenty of people there that we were speaking to that were, you know, very
suits and ties, professors,
eloquent
Cambridge professors
that looked, you know, like normal everyday people. But she sought out the most weird looking protester that she could and asked to interview him. The guy could barely even speak, so they'll probably edit that together with a clip of Alex shouting and say, oh, this is all, you know, silliness about nothing. Which is, you know, that's what they've been sent there to do. That's the way they operate. She looked like she didn't want to be there. She was very stern-faced. She wouldn't speak to any of us in any capacity, really, other than, you know, just to do the job that she was sent to do.
Hey, Alex, can I interject something here?
Don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah, David Knight's going to make a point. You can't hear it. We need to get you some headphones. But David Knight, make your point.
You know, as I'm listening to this, people are smart enough to understand how they've been manipulated by the media. You know, what you're describing about with this BBC reporter is what people have seen over and over again from the media. And you can see that even when there's not somebody like you pointing it out. You know, for years and years, decades, we had just 3 major networks here, 4 if you count NPR, but they were pretty much controlling the media. They were pretty much all reading off of the same script. We knew there was something wrong. We didn't know exactly what the truth was. We get little glimmers and pieces of it, but it's exactly what you're talking about. And what's making this really spread is the fact that people are hungry for authentic news that's not filtered, that's not spun, and that's not what they're getting from the BBC. It's not what they're getting from the mainstream media here. And I think the way you're describing the way they're trying to manipulate this by selectively picking who they want to show, trying to make you angry to get a sound bite, that's exactly what we've seen from the media for such a long time. If people are so sick and tired of being manipulated by the press and by the government.
No, exactly. It's not that Infowars.com is even that good. We're just regular folks sick of this crap, trying to build a media operation. It's that they're playing the same old tricks over and over again. You can't hear him, but David Knight's bringing up the point of people have seen these tricks in the media anymore. That's why they're losing their entire audience. And then it's kind of sad that we're the best there is. We're not superstars in the info war because we're that great. It's because everybody else is sitting there with their thumbs up their you-know-whats. Steve Watson, your take on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, no one is gonna seriously get any information out of this BBC report. They're gonna get the information from the reports that we're uploading, and that there are some other activists there that are, you know, there's a lot of them uploading videos constantly and streaming, live streaming. That's where people are going to get their information from about Bilderberg. There are no other mainstream media there at the moment. So, you know, where are they? There's a massive, giant steel fence that's been put up around...
At taxpayer expense.
Yeah, around the entire perimeter. There are hundreds of police there, and yet they're telling us that there's nothing going on, it doesn't exist. So
she said that over and over again.
Yeah, because she wanted a soundbite.
There's no meeting.
Why do you think there's a meeting? Well, because there's a huge security operation.
Helicopters and police.
Yeah, police helicopters buzzing overhead. The police started.
Well, they play this mind game. It's like It's like people are sick of playing it.
Yeah, people see right through it, and the police don't know what they're doing yet. I spoke to a police officer. I was being nice to him. I asked him if he was there all weekend. He said he was. And I said, so what, are you going to be, like, at the front here, at the gates all weekend? And he said, I don't know. I haven't been given any orders yet. And he kept going, can you move back, please? And I was going, where do you want me to move to? He's like, I don't know, just move. So they don't know what they're doing yet, because they're taking their orders from the private security people.
You'd have a private security car pull up, and I'm not knocking people with a potbelly. I got one, but like some 20-year-old potbelly would get out and go with his shirt hanging out and go, move them, move them. And then we're like on this public sidewalk. People are walking their dogs, and the cops are saying, you can't walk your dog. And it's just like...
Yeah, there was a couple, when we pulled up to the front gate, there was a couple of private security guys there who looked about, they were probably about 19 or something like that, and they really panicked when they saw you, because they knew who you were. They'd clearly been told to watch out for this guy arriving. They were straight on the radio. It was like, oh my God, he's here, he's here. What are we going to do? And then loads more sort of private security people came down, and eventually somebody obviously got wind that we were there, that you were there, and a few other protesters turned up, and that's when the police came down.
And when the police were marching up the hill, because there's like a hill going down to a valley and then up to the hill with a hotel, the police were marching up like they had to face Godzilla or something. And then once they figured out it was just people going, hey, bankers are meeting, they're going to... It's just so ridiculous that they've spun all this. Well, Steve, great job. Go get Paul and the rest of the crew ready so we can get the train into London for a 4th hour of overdrive, because I'm going to finish up with some news, but great job. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, just that people should come along to the meeting, and we can, if we get a lot of numbers there, then we can, get some information out there and make this, a big thing. Because at the moment, we're just, there's not a lot of people there at the moment, so we just need to get everyone.
Well, sure, it doesn't even kick off till tomorrow. It'll be big tomorrow, probably 500, 1,000 Friday, 3,000-4,000 Saturday, I'm guessing. And then Sunday will taper off. This is huge. This is going to be, I mean, the fact that they're admitting it exists, now we can have a debate about it. I mean, this is the end. I mean, this is the beginning of the end.
Yep.
Thank you, Steve Watson.
Thank you. See you soon.
All right, there is Steve Watson. I'm not making jokes or anything. That's always positive. But Steve, great job.
By the way, I brought you a cup of English breakfast.
He brought me a cup of English breakfast tea. That's very important. That's a religious sacrament around here. You get energized like Stonehenge from this. David Knight is with us. But folks, we don't tend to hype things up as our problem. I have talked to people in the Senate, and then I was at dinner with this big media executive, the head of a major media company, that I was invited to another party, and then these people were there. It turned out I was invited because they were there and they wanted to talk to me. And it wasn't the old co-op me, hey, shut up, we'll give you a job. It was, hey, we talked to these Bilderberg attendees, and they're sick of it all too, and they're thinking about going public. Now, whether that happens this year or not, there is a debate in Bilderberg of that happening, because I was speaking to one of the top people involved in the British government with security liaisoning with Bilderberg, who said, I've met with their head people, their spokesman. They're thinking about a press conference. How will you respond to a press conference, and what are your ideas? They want to know. So it's a dialogue directly with Bilderberg. And I said, well, I don't expect them to march up to the demonstrators and everybody, because they don't control that. They're control freaks. But I think they should come to the alternative media, or whoever's in the media area, and take maybe 10 representatives of the media up to the garden at the hotel that has all the transhumanist stuff, and do a press conference Friday or Saturday, because that's what they were saying. And so Bilderberg is like now trying to reach out to us. Now I realize that, like first senators' offices, then media, and now the intelligence agency, the domestic intelligence agency of the UK. MI5, basically, meeting with us, saying Bilderberg may want a dialogue. What do you think of that? And of course, that's how these globalists operate. They go to the heads of every group, and they try to organize something, and they get the world's looking at them. They get now that they can always control the media. And in the U.S., nobody covers it but Drudge and InfoWars. Now, CNBC, and I saw a bunch of other major U.S. news. In fact, that's news right there that I've never seen this morning. In fact, I wrote down notes. I think they're over there, Richard, of everybody. It was like CNBC and a bunch of other big U.S. news, because MSNBC isn't big, but CNBC actually has some readers. They were all talking about, Bilderberg and meeting in secret and how this looks terrible. And, Bilderberg needs to be transparent, the CNBC was saying in their headline. And maybe the guys can pull it up and give me the exact headline. But the point is that this is unprecedented, because they've kept it stonewalled that there's no secret government, there's no corruption, the Federal Reserve's not private, there's no New World Order, there's no... And now, again, I keep going back to the fact we're having this debate. So here's some of the articles up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Financial scandals draw heat on Bilderberg secrecy. Bilderberg 2013, welcome to 1984. Charlie Skelton, London Guardian, has authorized us to post his whole articles. So the Guardian, somebody can post their whole articles. That's great. It's just weird to have them reach out and like, Guardian says publish our entire articles. So, okay, they're up there. British Bilderberg participant decries group secrecy. Yeah, you've got in Germany, Britain, and other countries, former attendees are coming out against it. People are getting this New World Order. A lot of them were sold New World Order was going to help everybody. And now they're going, what? We implode the economy on purpose under Agenda 21 and shut down all the competition, and all the libertarians and conservatives have the environmental groups shut them down their businesses and the tax offices. It's not just in the U.S. that the socialist and the collectivist through the globalist shut down businesses. It's also in Europe. So we're going to come back and break this down. This is a huge awakening. This is mega, massive. I mean, I'm looking at this. This is a revolution against the shadow government.
As we saw in Katrina, and as we are watching now in New York and New Jersey, the federal government can't and won't help you in a crisis. FEMA ran out of water and MREs in days. Electricity is still off to over 1 million people. The Red Cross, who is quick to beg for money, is now slow to react. Don't put it off any longer. Get prepared today. While you're on InfoWarsShop.com, check out these other great preparedness items. The Aquapod kit lets you store up to 65 gallons of water in your bathtub. The Pocket Socket provides you with manual electricity for small electronics like your cell phone. The Life Straw is great for your bug-out bag. And check out our complete line of Interfood products for great tasting and nutritionally dense foods that have a great shelf life. If you are looking to secure your home in a crisis, you can order Strategic Relocations, the film, a great companion to the book Strategic Relocations 3rd edition, and The Secure Home by Joel Skousen. When the time to perform arrives, the time to prepare has already passed. Get prepared now, so if a crisis strikes your home, you and your family will be secure. Go to InfoWarsShop.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I'm going to go about 5 minutes the next hour. Then I'm going to throw it to David Knight and Jakari Jackson in that next hour. Then a little bit after that, we'll go live from London in a 4th hour of Overdrive. But it is unprecedented that, again, you've got all these members of German Parliament, British Parliament, former attendees of Bilderberg coming out and saying, this is criminal, this is wrong, what's going on. And a lot of it is people are compartmentalized. When the globalists came to me over the years, they said, look, you're a talented broadcaster. You stop talking about the New World Order and bad-mouthing it. It's meant to feed hungry Africans. It's meant to help the world. Global government is good. You could be a right-winger. Just stop talking about the Federal Reserve and the New World Order. I was giving this speech over and over again. And then it comes out they're going to double the carbon taxes on the third world and kill them under carbon taxes, and even the UN people vote against it. Globalism is really nasty, folks. And its biggest crime is that it doesn't just get taxpayer money. They shut down your competition, their competition, so they can dominate. They ruin societies. There's so much wealth, there's so much technology that we could all be living like kings, but they're artificially suppressing economies. They call that overheating economies. And they're trying to reduce our numbers population-wise. And so many yuppies and trendies go, good, there are too many people. You're being targeted too, whether it's true or not that there's too many people. We need to be aware of this. So, and by the way, we've uploaded like 10 videos the last hour to my YouTube channel and to Paul Watson's Prison Planet Live channel. We need to get those up on Infowars.com and at the Bilderberg site on Infowars.com, because I haven't even gotten the BBC stuff up yet because we're streaming. This phone's the one enabled with the data package for us to broadcast on. As soon as this is over, when we're on the train, folks, we're going to be uploading videos aggressively of the BBC lady. I want to find the one on here where she's like, Paul, I can't remember, what was the exact word? She said, I'm trying to make you angry. Provoke. Oh, that was it. I'm trying to provoke you. That's it. Tell folks about that, Paul Watson.
Yeah, the BBC arrived shortly after we did at the entrance to the Grove. They wanted to interview Alex. And almost as soon as the interview started, she asked Alex a basic question. Then her first response after that was, but aren't you all conspiracy theorists? Aren't you just a conspiracy theorist?
Aren't you crazy?
Aren't you crazy?
How do you know it exists?
Not what's the agenda, who's participating, what's Bilderberg about, what's its history. Aren't you crazy? And this is supposedly someone who works for the premier news organisation in Britain, which every British citizen has to pay about £134 a year just to not get a knock on their door from these thugs for the TV licence. It's mandatory, and it goes to the BBC. And this is the calibre of reporter that they send out to a meeting of 140 of the world's most prominent power brokers.
Media. It's globalist media.
But she obviously had orders to just try and make you look stupid so they could get a little soundbite and put it on Newsnight where you're saying, you know, I'm crazy like a fox, because they're not going to use anything else. And she was there to provoke. She admitted afterwards, and we got it on camera.
And she lied to me. She said, I'll have a serious interview. Sir, we'll get you info. Because I was like, well, hey, you've got a major lobbying scandal. We need to cover this. Of course, sir, please.
You kept getting into the serious issues. She just completely ignored everything you were saying and said, oh, aren't you crazy? Isn't this just a conspiracy theory?
We'll be back and get David Knight's take on that. A ton of news at Infowars.com on this breaking right now. We're going to have a third hour and a fourth hour today. Infowars.com/Bilderberg.
Our viewers have demanded it, so now you're going to get it. More pro-Second Amendment gun shows in the month of June.
What we've learned is you cannot hide behind an I-beam when there's a 50 cal present.
Brothers in Arms, 50 cal ammo review, and more. Coming in the month of June to the InfoWar.
By the way, when we covered Bilderberg with Justin TV and Ustream back in 2011, we had 3.5 million viewers on Justin alone over 3 days. Last year, we only had about 1 million viewers total on those channels after that. So the channel has like 7 million views or something, the Ustream one, or maybe it's the Justin. Plus, we got a bunch of channels. Just from an hour and a half ago where we did a live stream, we were looking at the numbers here in the break. What was it, 66,000? 67,000 people watched one video we did live after the numbers, finally registered. 67,000. Just randomly we upload something. Again, that's the future. And I don't know what the establishment's going to do. Paul, how do you see this? And I want to get McAdoo in here briefly before we come back and have David Knight and Sha'Carri Jackson. Then we're going to get a train. We'll be on the fourth hour of Overdrive. And, of course, tomorrow we're going to be able to cut with live Ustream feeds on the radio while we're there. David and others will be watching it. The crew will be watching it. We'll be able to cut like we did last year in Virginia. What is the establishment media where it's all going to be edited, it's all got to be controlled, it's all going to be spun, provoke somebody, get a soundbite? What are they going to do as they lose their power, Paul Watson?
They're going to become increasingly irrelevant. And a good example is The Times did an article a few days ago by a guy called David Aranowicz, which said that Bilderberg was just a rich person's plaything. It had no influence whatsoever. The Times has lost 90% of its online readership because of people like that. And that's what's going to happen to the mainstream media. That's what's going to happen to the BBC. If you mess around and you send little idiots who follow their instructions to try and make us look stupid, which was the job of that BBC reporter, whenever somebody said something important, they were talking about the lobbying scandal, etc., they actually moved the microphone down to prevent them from being heard. And then they were talking to other people about issues of no significance. They were more interested in that.
Oh, yeah, they were told what not to cover. And here's the deal. It's not that we're good. I have a low view of myself. It's that they are slitting their own throats, Paul.
Well, precisely, because their viewership keeps going down and ours keeps going up. But I think we've had, I mean, the coverage so far, before it's even started, has been massive. I think it's, you know, it's the biggest ever in terms of Bilderberg. So we are making some progress. And a lot of the articles that came out, such as the one in the Telegraph, you know, you've had Daily Mail.
Drudge with the Drudge love.
Drudge Plum, yeah. And, you know, they're giving it the seriousness that it deserves. The likes of the Telegraph, who came out about, you know, the taxpayers funding the security. But then the BBC turns up and says, isn't this just all a conspiracy theory, like we're imagining it?
We have video of it. We're going to upload it. She goes like 8 times. Isn't it not real? It doesn't exist. It's a conspiracy. And I was like, why'd you do that? She goes, I'm trying to provoke you. That was the word, provoke.
And she said, oh, isn't it just people meeting in private for a chat and a game of golf? No, they're violating their own House of Commons ministerial code under the Code of Conduct. They're clearly violating it by not declaring private interest.
They're being arrested right now for stuff like this.
Precisely. And I mean, you know, Bill Gates is going to be there. You've got Peter Sutherland. You've got people involved in the LIBOR scandal, people involved in HSBC drug money laundering.
Fixing interest rates low for them and high for us.
But the thing is, Alex, it was the BBC in 1955 that got the documents which showed that Bilderberg planned the single currency, the euro, 40 years before it came into effect.
Yeah, they know that, but it has no power and doesn't exist.
And she knew absolutely nothing. She'd obviously done no research. She was told, go out there, make people look stupid, get the footage, come back, we'll edit it.
All right, here you can see Richard Reeves and the rest of the crews. You can see there's Richard Reeves right there. That's actually Mrs. Watson. And then you've got, I'm joking, that's Leanne McAdoo. And you've got Stevie Watson right there, the Stevie Wonder of England. And you've got Richard Milhouse Reeves right there. I'm going to come back and put bookends on this with the illustrious David Knight doing a great job, because I've been listening to the show via the free iPhone app. David, you're doing a great job. Follow us and spread the word about Twitter at InfoWars online. They're at twitter.com/Real Alex Jones. Spread the word about Infowars.com/Bilderberg.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.